Hey, and welcome back to the DC Stewart Show podcast. I'm your host, Derek Stewart, along with my kinfolk, Isaah and Najee. And we are back at you on a Monday morning. It is November 17th, 2025. 1 week out from Thanksgiving. I hope everybody is prepared and ready to, celebrate Thanksgiving with their families and with their loved ones and with all the people that mean something to you. We gonna be pulling for you as well as we're pulling for our own families because, Thanksgiving is a special day in the country. We're almost at the end of the year, and these days are passing by so quick I can't even keep up with it a majority of the time. But I'm here, and I'm feeling good today on a Monday morning. Welcome to the information superhighway for sports, because that's what we're here for. We're going to be kicking down some really kick-butt topics today. We're going to talk about college football. We're going to talk about NFL football. We're going to put some NBA in there. And we'll recap a lot of things that went down on the weekend. One thing is for sure in sports, we have a lot to talk about always. There's never a dull moment in the sports world because we got sports going on 24/7, year-round, 365 days. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that like button. Because the information superhighway only grows when you join. And when you join, you get the notifications. And whenever we put videos out, we're uploading videos 5 to 6 times a week throughout the week, technically. Up to 5 or 6 videos, should I say, a week. So let me go ahead and bring in my first kinfolk. And he's near and dear to my heart, by the way. And his name is Najee. How the hell are you, Najee? We miss you this weekend, but we're glad you're back with us on a Monday morning. What's really going on?
Oh man, I'm good. Having a peaceful Monday. There was a lot of sports this weekend, so if you missed out, you missed out, bro. From college to NFL to the NBA, it was a whole bunch of stuff going on, man. You missed out if you ain't seen none of it. You had James Harden dropping 40-point triple doubles. You had Steph Curry getting back-to-back 40-point games, and he did stink last night. Got 9 points, but they still won by 20-something points. But you missed a lot of good football last night too.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And
don't forget to mention my Dolphins won in overtime.
Yeah, they beat a team without their starting quarterback. What about
exactly. Well, they still
it
won,
doesn't
and
matter.
I mean, I guess that matters. But like you said,
This man
Najee,
has to
No,
step up.
no. What Isaiah said all the time, he wants to beat the team when they fully healthy. So don't
Okay,
take credit
I
on the
do.
team that wasn't fully healthy.
That ain't how I go, man. I like to beat them at full strength, but if they missing a guy, you think we gonna lose because they missing a guy?
I
No,
hope
we gonna go out
not.
there and get that
I hope
handle.
not. But you're not
Come
going.
on, man.
But don't parade on them though. Don't parade
I'm gonna
on a
parade
team
every
that
time we can
missing
get a
their
win.
most
A win is a
important
win, no
player.
matter how we got it. We was outside
On
the
their
country
important player,
representing
they
the
wasn't
country.
present.
Hey man, hey, listen, our record's better than y'all, so about the
It
same.
really
So don't
isn't.
be
It
bragging.
really isn't. No, no, no.
What's
It
your
really
record
isn't.
now?
Our record's better than y'all. Our record's 5-5.
Okay, well, let's see by the end of the year. And then
well,
y'all
we
will
will
start
we
getting ready
will
to give
see
me the
by the
phone.
end of the year how all of these teams are going to look. I know one thing is for sure: Miami's going to have to do a total overhaul of their football team. I mean, in terms of how they're going to go about with strategy moving to next year with Mike McDaniel, whether he'll be there or whether he won't be there. All of those things make a difference. And, at the end of the day, sports franchises are there to make money. It's a business. And if the
Yeah,
owner is
I
not
spoke to
making
a lot of
money,
folks.
there's going to be a freaking shakeup,
I
right?
spoke to a lot of folks this weekend, man, and we were talking about Mike McDaniel, and there's a lot of folks want him out of there, man.
Of course,
I thought by Greer leaving,
they
it
getting
was
worse
going to be
every
enough,
year. Why
but
not?
they want to package them up and leave. They want all of them gone, bro. They want all of them gone because they're losing BBLs in the seats over there. So they want to get all of them gone.
Well, let me go ahead and clarify one thing. And can you repeat what BBL stands for, Isaiah?
Brazilian butt lift, man. Quit trying to be green.
I'm going to have to go ahead and put that terminology into the description, because when you say BBL, that could mean anything. So I want people to be very clarified knowledge that that's what that means. Brazilian butt lift.
The
So
lingo is, that's what it is.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you got a little work done. When you got a little enhancement, that's what that is.
That's so true. How you doing, Isaiah? What's really going on? What's happening?
You don't have to go to Brazil to get it done either no more. So
No, you can do it right here in Beverly Hills. You could do it in Miami Beach or wherever those cosmetic doctors are. You could do it right there.
They loaded down in South Florida too. They loaded down there with those doctors to do that. But anyway, man, this weekend was fabulous. It was beautiful. It was really nice because it was not hot like it usually is. We had a nice winter breeze and it sustained itself. Like this morning was extraordinary. You get out this morning, just a peak of the sun coming out, and you got a nice winter breeze and not so humid like it usually is during the course of the year, but it was beautiful. My teams did well. My Dolphins pulled off a win in overtime, and my Canes won, so I couldn't be any better. Hung out with my handsome dad and my brother yesterday and this morning, in fact. So I'm on cloud nine, man. Feeling great. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's likewise. That goes for me as well. It rained in Southern California starting mostly late into Friday night, all day Saturday, pretty much, or at least a majority of Saturday, and then Sunday. Yesterday it cleared up somewhat, and we thought we were going to have rain today, but it looks very clear outside. I don't know if that storm is pretty much finished with Southern California yet, but I hope it is, so we can get back to normal and start having some of this decent weather back, because it never rains in Southern California until now. So other than that, I was able to get a few things done in-house, and I feel good about today because I know we're getting ready to hit into some subjects and some topics that really I want to talk about as well as you want to hear. So where the party at, and where are we going with this party? This party's here, right? This party is right here.
Too, DC, you left that out, bro. We had a really beautiful Saturday night show.
And we did and thank you for reminding me of that, because Freebird Tony did a fantastic job with us on Saturday night. He knocked it out of the park. I mean, Tony knows his sports, so that's one thing you don't have to worry about. He's very knowledgeable, and he broke down his top 10 Heisman GOATs of all time. And those GOATs, to me, I matched up with them really well. I mean, the order can be, scrambled. Basically, he was saying from 6 to 10, I believe, but the top 5 was his top 5.
Yeah, his top 10 and my top 10, we was off only 2 players. Isn't that amazing? Yeah,
it is amazing. And that just goes to show you how much both of you guys know about football. Isaiah, you played running back in high school and in college. So, with that said, you know your stuff about football as well. So, yeah, thank you, Tony, for joining us, because we really appreciate you coming aboard, and we really want you back onto this show. So whenever you have time and can do it, we're going to do it again. We're going to be doing some lists going down the line. We're getting back to the NBA a little bit, and we'll have Najee kick out a few more lists of all-time great coaches in the NBA. We'll do that one, historically speaking. And, beyond that, let's get started with this first topic, and let's kick it off with the college football weekend. It was a very exciting weekend. It looked like the top 5 did everything that they were supposed to do. Georgia bumped off Alabama, and, to be honest with you, Alabama's got a good team. Kalen DeBoer has done a good job with Alabama. I think he's done a fantastic job taking over for such a legend like Nick Saban. But when you take over something behind a legend, it's that pressure and that determination and that motivation to win and to keep that monotony going, as far as I'm concerned. It seemed like they ran into a buzzsaw on Saturday, and Saturday wasn't a good day for Alabama because Oklahoma was able to come in there and they were able to pretty much do what they wanted to do, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Oklahoma defense is impressive. Brent Venables, is a defensive-minded coach. So you know that Oklahoma defense is going to show up. Oklahoma's offense with John Mateer did just enough to make sure that they could seal a victory against Alabama. And I'm going to start with Isaah on this. Where do you think Alabama went wrong? They're playing at home, you know, and Alabama, you usually don't beat them at home in Tuscaloosa. Tell me how Oklahoma was able to go in there and do that, Isaah.
Oklahoma was just consistent. They did everything right. They was aggressive, man. They went at it from the beginning of their first whistle. They was at Alabama's neck, man, and Alabama just didn't respond like they should. And now I think their playoff hopes are gone. So this is the second game they dropped. So if you lose a game this late, they out of there. So I mean, they didn't lose earlier. They lost that one game, the first game, and then they kind of leveled off and won everything since until last couple of days ago. So they out of it. No playoffs for them. I don't think they're going to reach the playoffs.
I don't think they're going to be able to make the playoffs because it's just so tight in the SEC, especially the SEC West. You still got Texas A&M undefeated in the SEC West. It looks like they're sitting on the top of the SEC West, in my opinion, because Texas technically is out of it too, because they ended up losing to Georgia at Athens on Saturday.
But that's their third game, though, DC. I think that's Texas' third game.
So let me ask you this. Between Alabama and Texas, which one has the better chance, or neither team has a chance, would you say?
Nah, neither one got a shot. Texas has already lost. They had already lost two, and then when they lost this third one, you can forget about it. Alabama got a shot more so than them, but they're not going to make it either because it's the game you losing too late in the season. You know, they can't do that. Now that's why I got my fingers and my eyes crossed for the Canes to go out full without losing anything else, because they will potentially get a chance to be in it. I don't know why in the world that Notre Dame they even dropped to number 9 over the weekend, and then they lost 2 games. So I want to see how this thing going to pan out the next weekend, because you got to win out now. You can't be losing right now. I mean, even if you are undefeated, if you lose this late, it's going to be damaging to you. So we'll see. We'll see.
So Notre Dame, like I said over the weekend, and I think me and you spoke about that on the weekend, that they've won out since Miami beat them. I mean, they've technically went and they did everything that they needed to do. And this most recent win, to me, was a dominating win. I mean, Jeremiah Love lit it up. I mean, Notre Dame's offense lit it up. They, to me, look like they belong in that playoff. I'm not going to tell you where I think they belong in that playoff at, but I do believe that they deserve to be in there, in the sense that they have won every game since they started, and then they lost earlier in the season, and that was important, correct?
That was important, but you got to look at it from the perspective of the team that lost 2 games also beat them. So why in the world the Canes are so far out the loop when they beat the ones that's number 8 or number 9? That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's their argument.
Okay, because I saw Uncle Luke talking about a similarity. Uncle Luke, and Uncle Luke is a very well-respected sports mind. I mean, I respect him more than I do some of the pundits that's on ESPN and some of these other sports outlets. I still think, and I hope and pray that this is lined up the way it needs to be lined up. I hope Notre Dame have to play Miami again, and we'll see. Because if they can lodge these 2 teams together again in a neutral site, I would be very interested to see, because Miami's on the come up. I mean, they've recovered, and it seemed like they looked really good against NC State, and now they gotta play 2 more games, and they go into Virginia Tech, and then they go into Pittsburgh. If they get them 2 out of the way, I don't see where anything can keep Miami out. Miami's sitting on number 14 right now at 8-2. Yeah, now, whether they will be able to play for that ACC championship, that's going to be the question, because it's a lot of teams still up at top.
Alabama's 10.
Yeah, it looks like Alabama dropped to number 10. Right. at 8-2. But I think what's going to happen, and Najee, help me understand and correct me if I'm wrong. If Alabama don't get into that SEC championship and win that SEC championship, I don't think they're going. Do you?
Nah, because they already have lost late, so they definitely have to go ahead and win out. Just go ahead and clean house, man. And because then they already done got a wound that they want to close up. So guess what? Let's go ahead and finish business, bro. Y'all already got humbled. Let's go ahead and finish business.
Yeah, I mean, because you look at the conferences now, the conference championship winners are going to be lock-ins. They're shoe-ins, I think, because they have won their conference. You got the Big Ten, you got the SEC, you got the ACC. I believe the Big 12 is going to be included in that, and several independent schools, because Notre Dame doesn't belong to a conference. So it's going to be kind of complicated and complex to me on how they're going to fit Notre Dame in there. But they will fit Notre Dame in there. One is because the team that has history behind it, which I don't think should be a factor, but it is a factor. And Notre Dame has won out since they lost the first 2 games. And I don't see, because if you look right now, let me read off the top 12. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, all 3 of these teams are undefeated. Georgia at 9-1, Ole Miss at 9-1, Oregon at 9-1, Texas Tech's 10-1, and Oklahoma is 8-2. Notre Dame is 8-2. Alabama is 8-2. BYU is 9-1. Vanderbilt is 8-2. Utah is 8-2, and Miami is 8-2 at number 14. I went 14 slots instead of 12. So how do you shape this top 12, Isaiah, and then we'll move on to the next thing?
Difficult, man, because you got the Canes still sitting up at 14. It's going to be a difficult thing, and then it goes to show you that they got to kind of play out the rest of the season for some other movement to happen, because you got many teams at that 8-2 slot. So you got to kind of see who kicked better butt than the next team, because otherwise you got the same record, Like the Canes, they just slaughtered the guy. They slaughtered South Carolina rather. And it's like you got these 2 teams that's got the same record. And then you go in there and say, okay, they barely won. Then you move them up. And then the team who struggled to win, or either you slaughtered a team, then you can maneuver them a while, because otherwise you got multiple teams got that 8-2 record. You got many teams with the 8-2 record. Then you got like BYU, they 9-1 or something like that. But BYU probably would get beat by any of these teams that's 8-2, I believe. They just really disciplined, but their team is not as good as that record is. I don't think. I think any one of those 8-2 teams that's there can beat them. Like the Canes will beat them. All these other teams that's at 8-2 will beat BYU. I think Notre Dame will beat them. So I'm eager to see how this rest of the week, the rest of these games going to pan out, because otherwise it's just going to look ugly, because BYU, they let them in several times before with a really good record, and they got the pants beat off them. Yep.
Yeah, BYU could be somewhat of a question mark. However, if BYU continues to win, they're going to stay right where they are. Or they may even get lucky and move up. Yeah. So here's Notre Dame's schedule. Notre Dame's got Syracuse at home, and they're on the road against Stanford. I mean, do you think they're going to lose one of them games?
They got to lose about 4 starters for them to lose.
Thank you. And the reason I ask you is because I totally concur with that, from the perspective that I think that Notre Dame is going to have a good opportunity to be into this rotation. So we'll keep an eye on that, because it's going to only get better as the weeks keep coming. I mean, if you think about December is rolling right up on us, and SEC, these teams are going to knock each other off. Like I said before, you still looking at Texas A&M at 10-0. They almost lost against South Carolina, and we'll talk about that one a little bit later, but almost don't mean nothing. I mean, they ended up coming back and they won. They scored 27 unanswered points in the second half of that game to win that game 31-30. I think personally that Miami still had a minuscule chance to get in there, and we'll see how that plays out, because if they win these last two games, they're going to be into running. But if they can't drop these last two games at all, and they'll be on the road for these last two games, so we'll see how that pans out. You know,
neither one of those teams got any business beating the Canes. That's just judging off these games that they lost, what they shouldn't have lost. They should be undefeated, man. They really should be undefeated going into these last couple games.
Right. So I'm just perplexed by how some of these teams were ranked so high at the beginning of the year. You look at Texas, for example. They were ranked number 1 on several polls entering into the year. It looks like they've hit a hard stop. And Arch Manning, he's been up and down all year. I just think that Texas is not going to progress until they can get that offense together and that running game together, because they just don't have enough running game, I think, to keep defenses honest, where Arch can play action pass and Steve Sarkisian can call these plays, because, Steve Sarkisian is a big, offensive caller of screens. I mean, he loves screens, which screens tend to slow defenses down, but Arch has struggled pretty much most of the year, I would say. Wouldn't you say, Isaiah?
Yeah, he had this inconsistency about him. He would light it up one game, and then the next game he'll fall flat. And he's never been consistent, and that's why they're in the rut that they're in. They're not going anywhere. They were ranked high because they were hoping that he would be better, because, he got the starting job. He was sitting on the bench last year, and of course he wasn't ready. And now they expect him to just pull a rabbit out of his hat. And he's not that kind of player. I think he needed a couple years ahead of him. He's not that good as people portray he is. He's not as polished as people think. He don't read defenses as well as his uncles, and he's got a lot to learn. So he's not ready yet. He's not like a superstar player yet. His pockets show it, but his play don't.
His play doesn't. Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, Georgia pretty much imposed their will on him, especially late into the game, where I watched some of it, and
that was a true test for him.
That was a true test to be on the road, to have to play in a place like Athens, right?
Yeah, and he was about to cry out there, man. He was so frustrated because he couldn't get it going like he thought he would.
Well, when you're getting rushed like he was getting rushed.
Oh, man, I knew Kirby Smart was going to have it dialed up on him.
Oh, man, he sent the wolves after Arch, man. Mm-hmm. Basically, Arch couldn't think straight, because when you're in that pocket and that pocket collapses around you, it's not pretty in real time. From your perspective, if you back there as a quarterback and you see them guys coming at you like that, it's insane. It really is. So anyway, we'll move on to the next topic, and let's talk a little bit about Maryland decides to keep Mike Locksley. Mike Locksley is a decent coach. He's a pretty good coach, actually. Mike Locksley started out in New Mexico, and he ended up leaving New Mexico, and he ended up as an offensive coordinator under Nick Saban, I believe, for several years, and he did a fairly good job when he was at Alabama. Maryland is a different situation at Maryland, because Maryland is nestled right in between all of those schools in the Northeast corridor, the Penn States, the Ohio States. I mean, you look at the schools that are in that territory, it's very hard for Maryland to recruit. I mean, to get kids to come up in there. And I think his athletic director and the administrators at Maryland understood that, because they said they're going to keep him and they're going to boost their NIL support to bring in better recruiting, stability, and things of that sort, so they could stay competitive in that league, because if they don't, they're gonna just fall to the bottom and they're not gonna be able to get up. And that goes for any sport. If you don't have enough NIL money, you're just gonna be, hovering around the middle to the bottom of every conference or every league or wherever you play. You're going to be hovering at the bottom because it's turned into a money grab now for these schools. The big schools win, and the small schools, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Wouldn't you say that, Najee?
Yeah, I agree, man. Because you got to sit there and think about it. Everybody's going to get money regardless. That's normally what everybody's playing for. You got people that plays for the love of the sport and coach for love of the sport, but you got some people that they do it because they want to get out of the hood, or they found something they're pretty good in to make the money. So while people giving out the money, why not try to grab the money that's available? That's just what all they're doing. Especially when you talk about the bigger schools like UM and in Alabama and stuff like that, they're going to get that money. Now, when you have the lower schools that never do nothing, guess what? It's going to be hard to try to keep top notch players, because that's what Why would a top notch player want to be scraping to the bottom of the barrel? No, they're going to be going for the top notch. Just like when it comes to the pros, the best players want to get the best money. They want to go out there and get the money that's out there, that's available. They don't want to go to they don't want to go to a franchise that's not producing anything for them. That's wasting their time at that point. They want to go there and achieve as much as they can.
They're going to the highest bidder. That's what it's all. Yeah. What is the game has become? These kids are out there, and if you're gonna be out there, try to get the best and earn the most out of it, man. And that's what you got to recognize. I'm actually delighted that these kids can have an opportunity to go out there and make a living, because when we were going to school, we had to call the house and tell my dad, man, wire me $500, even to take your girlfriend out on a date or to the movies or something like that. And these kids can earn a living because these universities have been making millions and millions and actually billions of dollars on these kids' name, image, and likeness, and they wasn't getting anything for it. And then what you gonna do? Graduate and become a school teacher, and then now you making $60,000 a year or $100,000 a year, when these people are made off with millions and millions of dollars off of your name, image, and likeness. And that's why I'm so delighted to see these kids have an opportunity to make millions of dollars as well, because you can feed yourself, feed your family, and take care of flights for your mom to come see you at the games and all of this type of stuff. So I'm actually glad that they can do it. Because, man, it used to be difficult for kids to do that, man. Yeah.
I know it because I saw it firsthand when I had a friend of mine who went to high school with me, and I was very close to this program over at Northridge, Cal State University of Northridge, and they had a football team back in the 90s, and they don't have one now. They just have a basketball team, but I saw some of those players on that team. They were barely able to get by. Several of them had to get fast food jobs and work in the summer when the season was not, in play, and it was very difficult. I watched it firsthand, man. I really did.
I remember when I was in college, man, the kids that didn't have that much money, they were left behind. They couldn't even make it home for holidays. Some of them, they had to stay on the campus because parents didn't have enough money to get them home. So this is the stuff that I'm talking about, man. And that stuff like that it's not healthy, because you imagine the school is shut down. So you can't go to the cafeteria and eat because everybody is going home for whether it's Thanksgiving or some kind of holiday, and you left there because you don't have enough money to get home. So I commend the leaders who came up with a plan to start getting these kids compensated for their talent, because that's exactly what it is. It's like a trade-off where at least they can get something out of it, other than you just getting an education is a double sword where you can get two things at once. I love it. I really do love that.
I do. I'm right along with you with that, because the schools are just reaping in. They raking in the dough, man, and they need to break.
You think they could pay a coach $10 million a year? Just look at it right now. The fact that they just fired James Franklin and owed this man $50-something million, and now they on a hunt for another guy and a kid that's busting their rear end out there sweating and can catch a concussion and anything else with a deep injury where it probably can end his career, and that's all he's gonna get. Okay, here's your diploma here. Okay, dog, holler at you
Mm-hmm.
later. We're gonna go to the next kid that's coming up, and that's the thing. So it's a high buy thing, and you paying these coaches all this enormous money, and it's not just Franklin. You got to remember, Franklin has a staff. If they paying him that kind of money, you got to go right behind him and pay his staff, and the staff gonna be making somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 or $3 million too if he's making 10. The offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, and these position coaches, they all getting paid dearly, and that's fine. But the mere fact that you don't want to pay a kid that's out there, I thought it was almost immoral for the kids to go out there and bust their rear end and don't get any compensation for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it looks like Mike Elko, who's Texas A&M coach, he's currently in negotiation, which more than likely, I'm almost 100% that he'll be a little bit south of $10 million a year. I mean, and that's just a number that I threw out there because right now he's making, it said earlier, he's making $7 million annually now. So I think they're going to boost him up. And his contract is going to set him straight for life, a generational type of wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the schools need to share that money, and they don't mind because it's already in motion, and it's going to continue to grow. Like I said, some teams will fare better than others, but if the boosters and the people who support these schools want to see their programs win, they're going to have to donate, and they're going to have to put money into that program.
They don't have a problem with it. These boosters don't have one problem. Only thing they want to do is win. They'll chunk up the money, and that's what happens when you're not winning. They'll chunk up the money and get you out of there. So those schools have it. They got it.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Mike Locksley, he'll probably be given another year, I would think, in the sense that he's already been reassured that he'll be coming back, but it's no guarantee that he'll stay if he starts losing next year, because it's, like I say, it's an up and down situation where you're dealing with programs that they don't want to hear about losing. And then if they give you the extra resources you need and you still can't figure out how to win, you're going to be gone. That's how that works. The coach that I'm most impressed with, though, is Brent Venables. With what he's done at Oklahoma so far right now, for that team to be able to go and beat Alabama in Alabama, to me, was exceptional. I think because Alabama was on a roll. We didn't think they were going to lose any more games, and at least until right around the time that they may play. I don't know whether they played Mississippi yet, but Mississippi is definitely going to be in the running as well because they're a team that's just lost not one game. They're 9-1 as well. So that college game is going to be interesting to watch over the next week, next 2 weeks, and 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Michigan is going to be in the running up in the Big Ten as well.
I'm loving Michigan right now, DC, man. These guys
I do
are
too.
playing hard.
Sharon Moore has done a great job with that program for what it's been through for the last 2 years. I think Sharon Moore has done a fantastic job.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing better than I expected he was going to do. You know, came brand new head coach, and I mean, I noticed the kids loved him, but just for him to have control of that team and taking it to another level, I really was impressed with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on to this next topic. We have the University of South Carolina football team, head coached by Shane Beamer, the son of Frank Beamer, the legendary Frank Beamer. Shane came in with a lot of, high expectations that he has on his team, that the administrators and the AD have specifically on him to come in and turn South Carolina around into a perennial winner. So far, that haven't happened. I know Will Muschamp was there for several years, and he couldn't get it done, so they let him go, and they ended up bringing in Beamer. Now, specifically, I want to talk about this game against Texas A&M. South Carolina was up 30-3 at halftime over Texas A&M, and Texas A&M is undefeated. I mean, they went in College Station, and Texas A&M. The question is, Texas A&M, whether they showed up to play or whether South Carolina showed up to play above their means to beat Texas A&M? That's the question that needs to be asked, because under most conditions, Texas A&M wouldn't even be behind that far. I'm going to start with you, Najee. How can you blow a 30-3 lead and be outscored 27 points in the second half to lose 31-30? Tell me about that, Najee.
It sounds like they were toying with it to me. They probably just did that. It was like, let's chill out for a bit. Let them get their hopes up like they gonna win. And then as soon as the
You're
second
gonna
half, they like, you know what?
lose.
All right, let's go, guys. Let's go and take care of them real quick, man. We don't finish hee ha ha. Let's go and take them home and whatever. They probably wanted to make it seem more competitive than what it really was, because that's crazy. There's no way you up that much points and let a team just run you down like that. At that point, the only thing you really need to do is bleed the timeout. You don't even honestly, if you're up that much, just bleed the timeout. But nah, that's crazy. That's crazy, bro.
DC, that's what we discussed Saturday night. Remember, I was saying that Nutty just pulled it right out of the hat and say, only thing your job was to do is just run the damn clock out, man, and they couldn't do it.
Well, that sounds easy in a lot of ways, but the other team has upped their game. How do you run the clock out when Texas A&M defense had made up their mind they weren't going to let them run the clock out?
Yeah, but see, it has a lot to do with your head coach, time management, and so many other factors for you to lose a lead like that. Because think about something. If you acquired that many points in the first half, okay? And then in the second half, it seems like they getting ready to catch up with you. So you don't know how to call a timeout and gather your troops and say, listen, man, we got to stop these guys. It's 3rd and 7. We cannot let them get a first down and continue this drive. So you don't call a timeout. Let these people continue with the momentum that they had, drive down the field and score. And they kept doing that. Every time they get the ball back, they'll go down and score. So it's all in the hands of Frank Beamer.
Or Shane Beamer. Shane Beamer.
Shane, that's his son.
Okay,
But
so
I think he's gonna get fired, DC.
Well,
I think they're gonna can
it could possibly be when you blow a lead like that and you kind of down at the bottom of the basement with conference losses. I mean, I don't see how he's going to be able to reassure that the fan base and the school that he can turn it around. I mean, that's just going to be hard. I like Shane Beamer a lot, but will he be able to do it? Correct?
I mean, you know how good that would have been for him to pull off that win for a team that was
it would have been a game changer for his program.
Oh man, that would have been his Christmas present if he would have did that.
It would have been a Christmas present on top of a Christmas present.
Yeah, but you know what's going to happen now?
Which one's worse, for you actually lose a lead when you're supposed to lose anyway, or for you to be down that much to a bottom feeding team? Which one is worse?
To lose the lead.
I think to lose the lead.
To lose the lead. See, instead of that being a Christmas present, guess what they're going to do? They're going to give them a cold turkey for Thanksgiving. That's what's going to happen now. Man, you know how bad that is to lose a game of such importance where you were playing an undefeated team. They could have been a spoiler for Texas A&M. You know, they could have set Texas A&M far back.
Because, for sure. If they would have won the game, sure.
Right. Man, sorry teams like that, that should be their ultimate goal, is to be a spoiler for somebody. So that should motivate them to just spoil somebody else's season. Since you got a crappy season yourself, spoil somebody else's season. And that who could have better? You know, who better you could have spoiled than an undefeated team?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So here's Marcel Reed's numbers.
That would definitely be a highlight. That'd definitely be a highlight.
That's no doubt a highlight.
A horrible season, but guess what? We just pissed off the top teams of the league.
Right.
So, that's a good thing to hold your head on.
Team. Yeah, undefeated team.
So here's the deal with this. This comeback was the largest in Texas A&M's program history. That they came back down that many points. It looks like basically Marcel Reed, who's a star quarterback, I think he's a stud for Texas A&M because he's very dynamic in the sense that he can run. His IQ is really high when it comes to playing quarterback. He threw for 439 yards and 3 TDs. Total in the game. Total in the game, he threw for 400. That number is just incomprehensible to me. He threw for 439. Where was South Carolina's defense?
They were asleep.
Where the hell was their defensive backs?
This is what their defense was doing. With their mouth open.
With slob running out of it, right?
Yeah, with drool on the corner.
Drool on the side.
God. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man. It just...
Hey.
How could any of those guys sleep, man? How did they go to bed that night knowing they just pooped in their pants, man? God.
And South Carolina's quarterback, Lenora Sellers, he's a star in his own making, but he played great. And when he plays great, he played exceptionally great. But when the pressure is on, and especially when that pocket starts to collapse on him, he's a running quarterback too, by the way. He can run with it. But when that pressure comes, I mean, he made a mistake, and he technically on a 4th down, technically ran out of bounds. I mean, you lose a football game like that. You're not going to win a football game like that, especially if you know it's 4th down. I'm hoping that he remembered that it was 4th down. Instead of trying to get to that 1st down marker, which defenders were all over the place. So I don't even think he would have made it if he would have stayed inbounds. But
that's not a head start playing, DC.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that means your head is not in the game, man. And all of that stuff leads right back to the head coach. We spoke about this weekend, man. This weekend we spoke deeply into this conversation about this head coach and the leadership of these teams, whether it's Prime, whether it's all these teams that have these terrible seasons right now. It's that leadership of these kids, man. They're gotta be on the same page. How in the world you run for your dear life and you don't know what down it is?
Well, he might have known. I'm just saying, I just threw that out there, that the way the game ended, which he was on a 4th down, I just find it hard to understand that even the play calling behind that. It could have been because he was in the shotgun and he dropped back, but still, I mean, it's just questionable to me, the whole thing. And so while we're on this subject, it looks as though South Carolina was controlling the game, and it looks like one of their receivers, and let me get his name down here. I have it right in front of me. Nick Harbor, South Carolina's receiver, caught a pass, ran it, took it to the house, and he ended up, it looked like he pulled up when he got to the end zone. I could see him grab his hamstring from behind. So his motion kept going toward the tunnel, down toward Texas A&M tunnel on that end of the field,
I think DC, he grabbed his right hamstring, right?
I think he grabbed his right hamstring. If you look at the video closely, you could see him grab it. I don't know whether he pulled up all the way, but he might have felt something in his hamstring. Yeah. So a lot of times when players have an issue like that, sometimes it could happen where they just keep running toward. If there's a tunnel, there's a tunnel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because they don't want to lock up. Because when you're running like that and your hamstring lock up on you in some trouble, man. And so he probably was running there to get it looked at because he was so far close to the tunnel. He could have thought about, man, I may get this thing looked at right quick. But you don't want to make a complete stop though, where the tight right on you.
So what I'm getting at is there was a Texas State trooper, and I guess he was positioned down in that end zone area. First of all, when they have these football games, I've seen it firsthand. the either the campus police is on site, they have local police on site, and a lot of that's driven by to crowd control. Wouldn't you say that, Isaiah? It's more so crowd control and safety of the field to keep people from coming onto the field and things of that sort. These law enforcement people who are invited or who are assigned to cover these games, and that can happen pro or college, a lot of times that's a privilege. That is a freaking privilege. It's a privilege to be assigned to a football or a basketball, mainly a football game, because you have so many people in the stands, especially these bigger stadiums.
It's the best thing you can do.
It's the best job you can have. You're watching. Exactly.
Especially if it's your team. It's your team that you're rooting for. You can get a better seat. You can't get a better seat. And you get a chance to meet and greet people who you kind of like and admire.
Absolutely.
So it's a beautiful situation to be in. Yeah.
So I'm going to finish out the story. Harbor went to the tunnel, and he turned around. Several of his teammates came to his aid. They all turned around and was walking back outside of the tunnel to the outside. And it looks like that Texas State trooper specifically went down into that tunnel. He approached all of the players. One of the players on the very left-hand side of the camera looked like he tried to avoid him, tried to get out of the way to let him through, because they didn't know where he was going. They didn't know he'd come down that tunnel to accost them and harass them. But he went down into the tunnel and forcefully made body contact with Harbor, which he was working his way back outside of the tunnel. I'm going to ask Najee first before I give it to you, Isaiah. Do you think that was appropriate for a law enforcement officer to forcefully make a body contact with an athlete, with a college athlete? Do you think that's acceptable?
Nah, not really. But I mean, honestly, like you got some people that take their job a little too serious. You got some people that I don't know, maybe he was being tested already. You only gonna see that little window to judge about something. He probably had issues with a certain person already. You can't always just go by that moment that you see. It could just happen numerous times.
Touchdown on a team that he liked. That was the issue.
Well, that could have been some of the driving force behind it. The A&M was losing. Yeah. They were losing that game. So to me, I feel like it was somewhat territorial that, look, you're in our home stadium, we're losing, and then you catch a touchdown and run that far, and then you go down in our tunnel? That's the way.
It was like taunting them. It was a taunt. It was like he was taunting them doing it, because I remember back in the day at the University of Miami, one of the University of Miami players did it, and he ran all the way to the damn locker room, man, and it was funny, and it was always caught on the highlight reel because of it.
Well, Bo Jackson did it in the pros. Remember when he ran up Bosworth's chest?
Did it too.
And he did it in the pros.
You know what? Some of these guys like that, as fast as they are, they don't slow down right away, because you got to allow your body to slow itself down when you're going that fast and you're running full speed all the way down to the end zone. Because if you stop fast, you pull up on something. And apparently this kid did pull his hamstring.
Or he aggravated it somehow, right? Yes. He aggravated it in some fashion where he potentially could have pulled it. It says here he ran the 40-yard dash in 4.3 seconds. I mean, the dude is super fast.
That's
super fast.
Speed.
Yeah. That's track speed. I mean, and then you look at, he's got that equipment on. He's got shoulder pads. He's got a helmet. He's got, all kind of other stuff that's attached to his body, and he's running that type of speed. And he made it look like that when he pulled away from those defensive backs. They couldn't catch him,
Yeah.
So sometimes getting back to
slippery stuff out there too, DC,
right?
Where your cleats can slide. So especially when you hit a non-grassy surface, you got to really be careful. Don't you would slip and bust your rear end as you're running. So that's why a lot of those guys just try to gallop their way till they can slow all the way down into the tunnel sometime if it takes that. and then they'll come back onto the field. But that right there, what we've seen, is despicable out of the officer for him to even approach those guys like that. If he was in there trying to make sure that they were safe, that would have been a good thing for him to do because that's what he's out there getting paid for. But to go in there and from what that's
and then point his finger. He bumped him and then pointed his finger like he's telling him, "Look, you don't go down this tunnel." I mean, that's what I picked up from it. That's just my self-assertion, personal assertion of it. He was basically telling him, "You don't be in this tunnel." That's what I picked up from it, and that's unacceptable. According to this, he was sent home. The trooper was sent home, and supposedly the Texas Bureau of Public Safety, that's what they call them in Texas, is investigating this to find out whether there warrants any additional punishment for this officer that did that. To me, I don't think he ever should be he should never work another football game, in my opinion. He has no business working a football. If he's that aggressive, to me, I don't think he needs to be working another football game. What about you, Najee?
I mean, okay, it's not like I feel like he harmed him in any type of way.
He didn't harm him, no.
For him to, well, no, I'm saying I would rather for them to be a little bit more anxious than to be laid back. Because when you get laid back, that's not something really can really happen, and then something will, transpire. But he might have been a little bit over it, but I don't think it's going to be that serious. I don't think really it's going to be that serious at all. That's probably his slap on the wrist. But then if he doesn't have another issue, then he definitely going to be pulled away from that. Because like I said, I'd rather for you to be a little bit more aggressive than to be completely laid back. Because that's when something can happen and somebody can get hurt. So I can say it that way.
Clarify aggressive, because you have 3 football players that's coming outside of a tunnel, where one football player, obviously it's looked like he had something with his hamstring that was going on. Mm-hmm. And whether he witnessed that or not, I agree with Isaiah. I think he should have went down there and say, "Are you okay? Are you guys okay?"
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been where he physically bumped someone and then you turn around and point your finger. To me, that's not acceptable at all. And I'm just going to the most extreme of it to say that you only have one opportunity in most cases to work football games and to have the privilege that these people enjoy. And it's not just in Texas, it's all over the country. These presidents of these schools and these high level administrators, they have personal security details. The coaches have personal security details. And I have never witnessed a security detail officer, even after a game when students have stormed the field, get physical and bump someone or want to get that type of aggressive toward a football player. If it was a fan, I get it. If it was a fan, I get it. But I don't get it when you got football players coming out of the tunnel because he ran into the tunnel and he goes down there to assert his, authority, I guess. Wouldn't you say that, Isaiah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
but
think
the crazy thing is you got to also know that when it comes to that type of detailing, he's also not a rookie either, because he has to be a veteran cop. They're not going to have you doing special detail as a rookie. So he definitely has time on his belt too.
Probably.
Well, it's poor judgment on his part because he let his emotions take over him. That's one thing about law enforcement, and I'm a huge advocate for him, and I, support him 100%. But in this case, he was a jackass, man. No ifs and buts about it. You go down there harassing these damn children, man. That's what he was doing. All he had to do was make sure the guy was okay, turn around and walk his ass back out there on that field and continue his detail. But what he do? He went out there with elbows tucked and tried to bogey these guys, man, which is crazy because it just shows you he was just a freaking bully to these kids, man. They were just out there playing a game, and he went over there trying to assert his authority by them going in there. And I thought that was crazy of him, man. It's stupid because here you are supposed to be a guy who you're supposed to serve and protect, and you go over there harassing these guys. So imagine what his ass probably be doing on the street when he something that he don't like, he don't like. And when he don't have no camera, you imagine this fool pull you over on a dark street over there, just you and him, or just him and his partner, and he pull over somebody. And if he's got that kind of character and he don't know how to harness his emotion,
That's right.
I mean, that's bad, man. You catch a guy speeding, doing freaking 20 miles over the speed limit, that pisses you off as an officer. But then when you pull him over, that guy might have had a reason to be speeding. He could probably had an emergency. But no, here come this idiot going there and do anything he want to him. So that's sad, man. And I think he need to be held accountable for it. He don't need to be working on games if he can't harness his emotions.
That's my angle on it, and I understand Najee 100%. You know, I respect law enforcement because I've been around a lot of law enforcement a long time, so I understand some of how the job works and what needs to be done and what needs not to be done. But when you have a privilege, like Najee said, this officer's probably been on the force for a long time. They don't just let rookie officers go out there and be covering these games and these security details.
The point in the matter is, when you are in a uniform like that, you go through some extensive training. And the training is to be able to protect yourself, number one. And then also training is not to escalate stuff.
It's to de-escalate.
Because that's what he was doing.
De-escalate.
Yeah, it's to de-escalate.
You're trained to de-escalate, not to escalate
right,
things.
And you got to know what to do when somebody else is upset. You got to make sure you can kind of calm them down. But you don't be the aggressor. And this is not a crime. The guy wasn't. I would understand if this was a crime that he was embarking on. This is a kid that's playing a game that's entertaining us. That's what it is. This is an entertainment type of job when these kids are out there playing, whether it's professional or college. It's entertaining us. And you go out there and have a good job on a Saturday? Man, you're supposed to be having a good time. You got everybody who's got the end of the week, your people who don't work their rear ends off all week. They don't pay for these expensive tickets to go out there and see collegiate football at its best. Don't you know how good I feel when I watch college football as opposed to even watching pro football? Because it gives me that sense of me being in college. Because I see all the young faces, the kids just getting into adulthood and they're enjoying themselves. You go to a college campus, you got 40,000 kids in the same age bracket between 17, 18 to 21 or 22 years old, and you got 40,000 of them. And they're all your age. You just getting out of your parents' house. It's remarkable how happy you will be to just be around your friends. And sometimes these are lifetime friends you have after college. But then here's a guy who go in there and try to ruin something like that.
It's not acceptable. Hopefully they can square this away, and if he shows any remorse and, at least be accountable and say, look, I lost my cool for a second or whatever, that would kind of maybe help it a little bit. But
some of these fools like that don't have enough. They have too much pride to apologize and say, "Wow, I messed up. I just messed up." But then, I wish he can go and apologize to these kids because it'll do some good.
He should.
He need to apologize.
He should apologize to the player and the school. I mean, and just say, look, I disrespected the player, but I disrespected the school as well.
And his agency that he works for, because I guarantee you, people who have no clue about this department that he's working in getting scrutiny because an idiot is a bad apple right there, and people see it.
He's a Texas Highway Patrolman, one of the largest departments in the country. Texas State Trooper. He was wearing a state trooper uniform.
And point exactly. Now he's just freaking undermined his department. That's what he did.
He didn't make it look good at all to me.
You did not.
Yeah.
You know how much this thing has been covered, DC, with him carrying on like this? It's covered all over the place, man. It's some of the hottest topics. It's more hotter than Derrick Henry, power driving the guy with a stiff arm yesterday.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we'll keep an eye on this and see if this apology happens, which I'm like you, I doubt if it ever happens coming from him, but we'll see. We'll definitely look into that. It looks as though, let's move on to the NFL and cover the NFL. It looks like the New York Jets had a player that was shot during the weekend in New York City in Manhattan, right up the street from Times Square, and he was in critical condition yesterday. I'm going to look and see what the status of his situation is once we get offline, because I'm a little bit concerned for him. I mean, he was shot in the abdomen. The police don't know the specific details of how. They just had video of the shooter driving away, and hopefully they can catch this guy, because that's not acceptable to be using a firearm to sell a score in anywhere in this country, let alone New York City, of all places, right? And it's just reflects the times that we're living in. Is the player's name is Kris Boyd. He played defensive back for the Jets, and he was on special teams. And we hope he gets better. We're gonna hope he gets pulls through on this show, because we don't like to see anybody, get injured or, in a physical scuffle, or even getting shot. It's just bad. No matter how you look at it, it's just bad. So hopefully they'll catch this guy and they'll put him in jail, because that's where he's going. When you pull out a gun in the state of New York, from what I know, you're going to go to prison. And he shot the guy with the gun, so he's going to prison for a long time if they catch him, I think. So let's move on to some more NFL news. It looks like the Kansas City Chiefs might not make the playoffs this year. What do you think, Isaiah? You think they're going to make the playoffs?
What's their record?
I think they're 5. I want to say they're 5-5 right now. Let me look it up real quick and see.
They're 500? I didn't know they were getting like that.
Yeah, they're third in the AFC West, and on top of that, it looks like Denver is sitting up top of their division. It looks like Denver is sitting up at the top.
Yeah.
Because the Chargers took a dump over the weekend.
That don't even sound right. That don't even sound right, especially with Mahomes being healthy, man. That don't even sound right.
Well, when you have drop balls like you see with the Chiefs, wide receivers dropping balls, my brother Travis Kelce, I mean, I've watched him drop numerous balls in different games, and I'm not saying that this takes away from anything, but Mahomes can only do so much, right?
Yeah, and they lost last night, but Kelce had a good night.
Last night he did, but I'm just saying in the earlier part of the season, he was dropping passes just like a lot of other receivers were dropping passes.
Yeah, he probably was too focused on his engagement at that time. He done
could be.
He done popped the big question. he done popped the big question now. So she said,
yeah. he might want to reassess thinking about football, because if you think about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It was funny about that. I like their relationship. Really, I do. And since they've been getting their rear end kicked, she hadn't been to the game, man. She was bringing us like a good luck charm. I didn't see her at the game. They didn't show her. Either they didn't show her, but when they was up there with her and her little girlfriends and Travis Kelce's mom, they would all be there together. But the last few games, I didn't see her there.
Mm-hmm.
So wow.
So Najee, let me ask you a question. Can you believe New England is sitting up at the top of the AFC East at 9-2, and they were one of the worst teams in football 1 year ago?
Yeah, because they got rid of Belichick.
Yeah.
Well, no, they got rid of Gerard Mayo. Belichick had already left.
And I thought Bills was supposed to be the best team in that division, and right now it is the Patriots. The Patriots, then it's the Bills, then it's the Dolphins, then it's the Jets. So I was like, wait a minute. The Bills is not number one? Because the Bills have lost a couple of bad games they should have won. So that's the reason why they're second. Well, the Patriots, they're doing a great job right there. They got Stephon Diggs. They got May that's doing his thing over there.
Drake May to me. So Najee, would you say Drake May should be in the running for MVP this year?
Of course. When you talk about
I think he should.
You turn a franchise around. As soon as
Yeah,
you turn a franchise around so quick, you should. That it's between him. To me, it's between him. It's between Daniel Jones. That's with the Colts.
true.
That's really the two teams. That's the two I'm looking at.
That's the
There's
two
nobody
I'm looking
else.
at as
Because I
well.
mean, because Lamar Jackson it was hurt, so they fell down. Joe Burrow, he's still out. I mean, who else are you going to put over there? I mean, you still can put um what's the Bills Josh Allen there because they're right behind him, so he's
Hmm.
still having a really good season. I mean that's the only three quarterbacks that I'm even considering to be in the MVP discussion.
Exactly. Yeah. So it looks like New England is 3-0 in the division right now. They're up at the top. And another
Mm-hmm.
thing too, I think Mike Vrabel should be a candidate for Coach of the Year as well, because what he's done at New England is beyond amazing to me. Because he was able to go in, take a team that was a
Offense and defense.
downtrodden
Yep.
team in the basement. You know.
Mm-hmm. Because they were looking real bad post Tom Brady. Now Belichick has left. They done got a lot of bad juju out of in that franchise, and they don't even look like they were just trash the last 3-4 seasons.
Yeah. 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 So it looks like Pittsburgh won over the weekend as well, and they won and they beat
The
Cleveland, right?
Bengals.
No, Cleveland ended
No,
up
they beat the Bengals.
playing the
The
Ravens,
Ravens.
right?
They beat Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, so that's a big
Joe
rivalry. That
Flacco had a
rivalry
terrible game,
goes back for
but
decades.
from what they're saying is what's his name? Aaron Rodgers might have broken his wrist. And guess what? If he broke his wrist and that quarterback doesn't hold his water, guess who's going to be number one in that division? The Ravens. And we
That's
right
true.
behind them too.
That's true.
And we got to
They
pay them
hovering
twice
right
before the
behind
season.
him.
We got to pay them twice before the season finish. So
Yep.
let me know something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. It's Pittsburgh is. I'm just waiting to see what they're going to do because it's kind of hard to say year in and year out with Pittsburgh. If Aaron Rodgers is injured, it's going to be a problem for him. I think because they're going to have to put a backup in there, and
They're cooked. They're cooked.
yeah, I think they will be too. And their defense will keep them in ball games,
The Ravens
but
going to take that spot that they're supposed to have, and we're going to go to the playoffs.
I think that Pittsburgh trade to the Jets for Justin Fields was bad for both parties, man. And let me tell you why I say that. That Justin Fields trade, they traded him to one of the worst franchises, not just football teams. To me, Woody Johnson has one of the worst franchises in the NFL. The way he run it and everything. However, Justin Fields he's a dynamic quarterback because he can run. He's technically a running back to me. He looks like a running back with a quarterback's arm. They benched him so far in New York because I guess it's just been such a down year for him in terms of his output and his productivity. It's really hard to kind of gauge how he would have done if he would have stayed at Pittsburgh and learned under Aaron Rodgers an extra year or two, right? Wouldn't you say that, Isaiah?
Yes. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is a good teacher anyway. So
Yeah,
I wanted him to stay at the Jets, man, because he had just came off of an injury prior year, and then at the end he played pretty good. And next thing you know, he was out of there. So I think they didn't want him in there because he didn't fulfill that contract because he got, I think it was Achilles heel or something like that.
yeah,
Was
he blew
torn.
his Achilles. Yes.
Yeah,
The first game of the year,
and after
actually,
that,
on a Monday
first
night.
game of the year.
Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, you start talking about these older quarterbacks and the ones who really feel the love of the game and want to stay around. He's still productive, man. I mean, he still moves around pretty good and he throws the ball well. So I wish he play as long as they'll allow him to be on the team. Be honest
Absolutely.
with you, because he still played well. I mean, he's better than most quarterbacks that's out there. If you
I
look at it, unless you're talking about the elite quarterbacks, that's like he's better than I think our quarterback. At least I believe
Right.
he's better than Tua, man. I mean, really. I mean, at least he's
He's
got
he's
more
he's
command
better
of
than
the
Tua, but the
team.
thing is, you got to also a lot of these players. A lot of these franchises got to plan for their future though. They can't keep riding on a 40-year-old quarterback, man.
That's
That's
true. They
how
need
you
to
screw
draft
If
your
you got a
somebody.
franchise up.
40-year-old
You got to go
quarterback in there
younger.
going to teach a young guy who's not ready, that's one thing, though, too, Najee. If you got a quarterback that's not ready and you got Aaron Rodgers in there where you can sit behind him and learn, because that's what Aaron Rodgers did. He sat behind quarterback and learned
He
I got
sat
everything he
behind
can.
Brett
And then
Favre
when he
I
got
forever.
years
got you,
old,
but
forever in
no,
that
but
day.
what I'm
That's
saying is
why
I
he's
got you
still
though because
playing
I will
now.
understand. I will understand if they did that for the Jets, but they didn't do that because guess what? They brought another quarterback that was from a different team, so he wasn't even there to coach nobody else. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if the Jets would have moved on with the second screen quarterback or even the third screen quarterback, I'll give you that because that guess what? They was able to sit there and watch him play. But for them to sit there and bring another quarterback from another team, that means he wasn't even there to even teach the guy that was over there.
That's right. I just feel
No,
bad for
that's the
Justin
GM and the
Fields
head coach.
because Justin Fields is a decent enough quarterback to play quarterback. A lot of people are saying that he's not. They're saying that he's not an NFL prototype quarterback. I think he can play quarterback. However, it depends on where you land. It depends on where your team, how much your team prioritizes you. And Aaron Glenn is a first year coach, so Aaron Glenn hadn't been there to spend any time with him over 1 year. Come on. So I would hope and pray that Justin Fields can get traded and go on somewhere else and play because the Jets is not going to be the answer for him, I don't think. And I think he still can play in the NFL, especially if they, do different types of packages for him, even if he doesn't start. Kind of like the Cordell Stewart / type of package,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. So let's finish up this last topic and let's talk a little bit about the NBA. And I want to pick Najee's brain on some of the things that's going on in the NBA right now before we close this show out. It looks as though Nico Harrison was fired, and we talked about that a day earlier, right? It was just fun.
Yeah.
It was just baffling when I got up the next day and they had fired him. They put him out of his misery. They put Nico out of his misery.
Tuesday. Yeah, it's crazy. Literally 24 hours later.
Exactly. So, do you think it was warranted for him to get fired?
From what they said, from going by what they said, what they put out there, somebody else had the idea of doing it, and he had the final say so to pull the trigger. So yeah, if you made a dumb decision like that, yes, you deserve to be out of there, bro, because you still had the final say so. Not like Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban said that happened behind his back, and he had no idea until it was already done. That's cool. That means you can't really be held liable for that. But for you to say to have the final say so and say, you know what, let's make the deal. Well, guess what? It's your fault then, bro. It's your fault. It whether it goes north or south. See, they hoping Cooper Flag can fill in the shoes that Luka had. Even Cooper Flag ended up being a really phenomenal player. Me personally, I don't think he's going to be the type of player that Luka is. Luka is one of those generational players that it's going to be hard to copyright that. It really is, man. And you talking about really them only being 5-6 years apart. It's really hard for you to sit there and tell me that he's going to fulfill those shoes he had because Luka just went to the finals right before you got rid of him like that. So guess what, bro? There's no way in heck you're gonna tell me that you don't want to be liable for that issue. As a matter of fact, after he made that stupid decision about getting rid of Luka, guess what? You can see the guilt in his face, like, bro, this is not gonna work well with me. I know it's probably hard for him to walk around the streets that for him to know that he made that move and the whole city hates him. I done seen videos that he just at a restaurant and people walk right next to him and hack him just because that was the stupidest thing you could have did. Nobody blames a manager about making stupid decisions like that, but they exploited that like crazy. Nobody knew Nick. I didn't know. I followed the Dallas Mavericks pretty decently because I know the franchise. I didn't know who Nico was. Nobody knew who this man was until he made this stupid decision. Nobody. I know Mark Cuban. I thought everything went by Mark Cuban. I guess not, because this decision was made behind his back.
Do you really think Nico made a decision without upper management blessing it? Just tell me.
He had to, because Mark Cuban was not going to co-sign to that.
Well,
He had
it's a
to.
woman
That
named
move had to
Miriam
be.
Adelson that owns the team now. Mark Cuban is only a minority owner. He sold a
He's a,
majority stock to another person, and Mark Cuban does. He
and,
has some say in some of it, but he doesn't have a lot of say
mm-hmm.
in like he used to have when he was 100% majority owner. Miriam Adelson was the one that bought the team. And I find it hard that Nico could make a decision with a star player like that. I find it hard to believe that he could have just pulled the trigger on that trade without getting her to bless it. Do you think so?
I mean, it don't make sense because why would you? Why would anybody that has any kind of common sense will want to do that, especially if you're the top owner. If you're the top owner, why would you cut loose of your top of your top
Franchise
main stream
player.
of income?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, especially if he was an older player. Like if anybody would do that to LeBron right now, that's turning 41 next month, they would still think about that. Like that was crazy. Why would you do that? But when you talk about a 25-year-old franchise player that's generational that anybody will kill to have on his team right now, you cannot tell me that he's not even really injury prone. He'll get some knickknacks like injuries like any other freaking player would anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
he is arguably top three in the league. Period. At 20, he's 26 now, but 25 at the time. You mean to tell me you was going to let that go for Anthony Davis that's 32, 33 years old that's hurt every season?
Yeah, and need motivation from the other players to be
Yeah.
Yeah, and
the best
he
he
doesn't
can
even
be.
have willpower. Like you have to
Yeah.
Right.
amp him up.
Yeah, you
LeBron's
gotta amp them up.
is his best friend and still had trouble doing it.
Mhm. Yeah,
It
you
looks like
need.
Davis is out an additional 7 to 10 days, according to this, with the left calf
Because he has a calf
strain.
injury that they said
Yeah.
that it can relate to an Achilles tear. That's why he's been out so long. Now look how long he's been out since Luke has been there. He got hurt within the first few games of being over there. He pretty much sat out the whole the season that he when he was traded, and he's only played with maybe 1 or 2 games this season. Maybe I don't remember him playing. And they're good. What 10, 15 games in, and he still hasn't played. 15 is what actually yeah about 15 games, and he still haven't played. So you tell me what was the point of that?
Yeah. Definitely.
No team wants to go older. No team wants to get
That's
older
right.
unless that the person you got is better and is well established. But the thing is, between 25 and 32, that's a big gap, and you're already thinking at 32, you're already trying to look around and see what player that can replace him because
Mm-hmm.
the lifespan of an NBA player is career is really normally between 3 to 5 years. So if he's already played that many seasons and he's already hurt every season he plays, how much time you really have with him? He already have lower extremities problems already. He always have knees and ankle and foot problems. He always has something hurting him. Now he also have to wear goggles on the court
Racist.
like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because they said he has some type of eye injury that he got to play with those every game unless he's going to get permanent damage. So you tell me, what was the better income for that for them? What's a better outcome for that for them?
Right.
Because Anthony Davis have a ring already? No, he has a ring already because of the team they had already and what the circumstance was when they was in that bubble thing. They haven't even sniffed the final since then.
Right. Right. So, Isaiah, I'm going to ask you one last question on this, just like I just asked Najee. Do you think Nico Harrison pulled the trigger on a massive trade like he did to get rid of one of the most famous, most popular basketball players the Mavericks has ever had, other than Dirk Nowitzki? Do you think did he pull the trigger on his own, or I mean, over this owner and all the other minority owners, or did he just did it and they didn't know?
It ain't no way in the world they don't know, man. It's just even the way it go. Even if it was dumb, it could be dumb. It ain't nowhere in the world you make a move like that without these owners, because they're gonna be the one cut the check.
Correct.
Remember that.
Correct.
So they gotta know what you're doing. It might be stupid. They might have some kind of weird logic behind it. a move like that, but they gotta let the owners has to know who's on his team, who he's going to cut checks for. So that's the only thing. You're not making no moves without the owners knowing. I
Absolutely.
mean, that's just point blank.
Mm-hmm. So last and final topic, we're going to talk a little bit about Draymond Green here. It looks like he almost got into it with a fan who they say or allegedly confronted him with an Angel Reese chant, whatever that means. It says that he nearly went chest to chest with a fan during a Warriors game against the New Orleans Pelicans Sunday night. And I guess, a lot of these fans, they go in there and they try to, antagonize some of these players, and they yell at them and they call them names and stuff. He said that he was taunting Draymond Green with chants of Angel Reese because several of the Warriors stars' early rebounds resulted in his short-range misses, starting with the Golden State possession in which Green missed 5 straight shots and rebounded the first 4. And according to Green,
just think about being 6'6" and you can't make a layup.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah.
So he said, Draymond says that he just kept calling me a woman. He told the reporters after a game, clarifying later that the fan was calling him a woman's name. Do you think that's appropriate for fans to be able to antagonize like that? They spend their money on the ticket. Does that include antagonizing the players?
Well, I mean, this has been going on for years, and for every sport, bro. He ain't nothing different. You just being oversensitive.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they talking about your family or putting their hands on you, that's it. Because they gonna do it regardless. And when I was younger, I was doing it. When I went to Lakers and Heat game. Oh, I tried to mess with Wade as much as possible, even though I wasn't that close. I would yell out as much as I wanted to him to try to kind of piss them off. It's been happening forever, bro.
Absolutely.
You know who the artist at that? Spike Lee was a genius at that.
Oh, well, him and Reggie Miller, especially those Indiana games, right?
They made it like it was a war between the two,
Yeah.
Spike Lee would come in there with his little scarf and he would be waving it like that there, and he would say Reggie, would shoot like his sister or stuff like that, and it would get under Reggie's skin. But the only thing is, he used to mess with Reggie too much, and Reggie would go off, and they wound up getting his ass whooped. so it backfired on him.
It backfired quite often on Spike messing with Reggie Miller, because Reggie Miller was one of the best sharpshooters I've seen shoot the ball.
Man.
Back in his time, especially his time.
And if you foul him, he don't miss his free throws either.
No, he's 80+%. Absolutely. So that will wrap up our show today. We had a really good show. I thank my kinfolk here for always, talking about some of the best topics and having their opinions about the best topics that we can bring to you as a viewer, because that's what we're here for. We'll be here every Monday morning recapping the sports weekend as these playoffs get closer. We're going to be covering a lot of the games and a lot of the weekends for pretty much for this CFP playoff layout that we going to be looking at, which is a bracket. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and don't forget about us, because we do consider you family, and we hope you consider us family. So I'm going to close this thing out, and we're going to close it out with Isaiah. What's going on?
I want to salute you guys. I want to salute our family, man, and for sticking with us and patronizing our business in this nice, man. And we had a bunch of folks on this weekend with Freeway Tony, and we had a good time with it. List, he had his top 10 Heisman Trophy running backs, and I had my list, and we just had a great time. And I'm enjoying this thing, and I'm happy that folks are chiming in and telling us how much they love the show, and continue to watch us and tell your friends, your family, and your coworkers all that we're on. And you guys have a pleasant and safe week and safe Thanksgiving. and going into the Christmas season and New Year's. So you guys be careful out here because there's a lot of fools are waiting for somebody to slip. Whether you're shopping, you guys make sure you take care of yourself, watch your bag, don't get your credit cards and stuff stolen. Be careful out here because some people out here waiting to see the people who's not paying attention. So keep your eyes open. Have a pleasant week.
Well stated. How about you, Najee?
You know, I'm a co-sign with Isaiah with that because you do have you have a lot of people that's preying on women, kids, or people that's just not really aware of their surroundings. And since we know the country is kind of on a downfall right now when it comes to income and people having jobs and and the freaking housing is going skyrocket. So it's going to be a lot more theft. It's going to be a lot more crime and everything negative that you can even think of when it comes to the holidays. Because this is their season. So just try to be more aware, be more alert, pay attention to your surroundings, and God bless everybody out there.
Absolutely. You guys couldn't have summed it up any better, especially from the safety aspect of holiday season. And even if it's not holiday season, just be aware of your surroundings, because everywhere I go, I'm scanning around to see whether I see anything unusual. Not that may save me, but I do that just as a natural reaction to when I go places and look around and stuff. But we're happy to be here. We're happy you joined us today, and thank you so much. Take care of your health and your mental spirits, and take care of your physical health as well, and take care of others around you. Even though they might not ask you for help, just help them if you see that they're in need of help. Take care. Peace, love, and prosperity. Take it easy. See you soon.